This is P.L. Myers, a shot to the top, pro wrestling's manager extraordinaire.
This is Steve Michaels, the master of the Chicago Bear Hug.
This is Tim Storm, former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. You're listening to What Do You Say with DDJ. If you love professional wrestling, this is where you need to get your information. Don't miss this.
Welcome everyone to episode 11 of What Do You Say with DDJ. As always, I am your host DDJ, and my guest this week is a man who is simply known as the Shooterweight Yoya. Very talented guy. I think you're really going to enjoy the episode, and just a little sneak peek, we actually talk quite a bit about video games, and I expose him to the greatness that is Galloping Ghost Arcade. So sit back, enjoy, grab some food, grab a cold one, and relax and enjoy episode 11 of What Do You Say with DDJ with my guest, the Shooterweight Yoya. All right, welcome to another episode of What Do You Say with DDJ, and with me this evening is the man who is known as the Shooterweight Yoya. Yoya, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing this evening?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for doing this with me. So let's get right into it. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so currently living in Washington, D.C. I lived here my whole life, but a couple months ago, or last year, I moved down to Florida. I just moved back a month ago. And I've been doing mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling for about 8 years now. And been doing professional wrestling for about a year and a half now.
Wow, so you're still really young in the business.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, for someone that's been in, for that kind of time, I mean, you sure definitely seem like you definitely know what you're doing in there. So what is it like still kind of being relatively new in the business for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just taking everything day by day, especially being new in the business with how the business is now in the current situation that we're living in, It's definitely kind of a day-by-day process of learning as I go. But I'm surrounded by really good people who's bringing me up in the business. So
awesome. So how did you discover professional wrestling?
Yeah, so I guess kind of a funny story. As a kid, I've always watched it. When I was 6, I feel like everybody that's watched wrestling started when they were 6 years old or something like that. And I stopped watching a little bit sometime after elementary school. Something about it just I don't know. I think my parents just stopped buying the pay-per-views, and I just stopped watching ever since then. But then about 2 years ago in Daytona Beach, there was a fighting game convention called CEO, and New Japan held a professional wrestling show during CEO, and that's what really caught my interest again. I saw guys like Kenny Omega and Naito and everyone. I was like, this is amazing. I think I could do this too. So that's kind of what brought my interest back into wrestling, was that New Japan event in Daytona.
So when you first started watching professional wrestling, who were some of your early favorites?
Yeah, I've always liked Rey Mysterio, of course. Me being a small guy, it's always nice to see other small guys wrestle, and then Tajiri as well, because I've done martial arts my whole life, and it was cool to see the strikes and the martial arts aspect of Tajiri brought into professional wrestling as well.
Very cool, very cool. So you talked about your martial arts background. What do you practice?
Yeah, so I've done amateur wrestling for about 8 years now, and also do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai, and I compete in mixed martial arts as well.
Okay, so and being obviously, you're a professional wrestler, but you also do MMA and and the other things you just mentioned. How different are the your training techniques for training for a pro wrestling match versus like a MMA fight or you said Brazilian jiu-jitsu, correct?
Yeah.
So like, what are the differences in like all in your preparations when like preparing for like a tournament or a match or something?
Nothing really different, to be honest. I look at martial arts. I mean, professional wrestling as a martial arts as well. Martial arts is always about expressing yourself in whatever way you think best fits you, and that's what makes martial arts is as well. And of course, that's what pro wrestling is well. It's all about self-expression. So I don't really do much difference when it comes to preparing between the two sports. I kind of just intermingle everything and just make everything work with in between each other, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. So it's really so now having all that background and stuff. How does that like? Do you feel that makes you like different from everybody else that you work with in professional wrestling?
Yeah, especially I mean nowadays I feel like a lot of people are going towards the old school UWFI style wrestling or kind of the shoot wrestling, which is awesome. I feel like everybody should learn it, and I think it's cool that's being adopted in wrestling. But me being how small I am, I'm 5'2" at 115 pounds. I think everybody expects me to do, some sort of lucha or aerial wrestling, but I think what separates me from the guys that are my size is keep things pretty well grounded and do a lot of the shoot stuff in my matches as opposed to lucha.
And what was the fact that you were you're a man of your size, and you wanted to kind of differentiate yourself from, like you mentioned, the Rey Mysterios and the Tajiris out there, and you didn't want to kind of maybe get typecast in that role. Is that what made you kind of decide to go this route as the Shooterweight?
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of stole it from Pete Dunne, the bruiserweight, and I was just like, just kept hearing shooter. I'm like, oh, shooter weight, that's just perfect. But yeah, I definitely wanted to go that route because again, I didn't want to be the same small guy that everybody looks at. I want people to see me come out and they know who I am, they know how I wrestle, and they know that I can hang with anybody in any size as well. And then anybody coming up into the business that's my size or may have that kind of thinking can see that it'll work for them as well.
Very cool. So a little bit about so when did you decide that you wanted to get into professional wrestling? I know you said you've been wrestling for about a year and a half, but when did you decide that you wanted to give this pro wrestling thing a try?
My whole life I've always was a fan of it, and as a kid I wanted to do it. But when I really, really thought about, okay, let's go to school, let's take care of this, it was after that Daytona event. I went the next day right after that event.
And where did you go to train?
I was in Orlando, Florida, and I was trained under Cedric Alexander and Eric and Andrew Lockhart and Ariel Monroe as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of Cedric Alexander's work. I loved what he did in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, awesome.
He had a decent run and stuff, and I really like the fact that he's with the Hurt Business now, and that they're doing something meaningful with him. What was Cedric like as a trainer?
He was awesome. I mean, I came to him for a lot of issues not issues, but kind of questions that I had for professional wrestling, and he didn't have a canned response for whatever issues or questions that I may have. He always, spoke from the heart and really tried to relate everything that he's done to what I was kind of feeling. And I think the biggest thing that I had was, everybody wants to see me flip. Everybody wants to see me do rounders and all this stuff, Is it wrong for me to kind of think that I want to do the opposite, and how should I apply it and tell people or convey what I want to do to others as well? And he's always had a thorough answer for everything I've asked. It's awesome.
Yeah. So did he have any kind of influence on the creation of your character?
I don't want to say the character itself. I really sat down. It was between me and my girlfriend. Me and her really kind of sat through and tried to build this ourselves. But I think what he really had a big impact on was my confidence in actually doing that character in wrestling, not just thinking about it. He had a big part of that.
Awesome. Yeah. So now once you were done with training with Cedric, did you go to any other schools?
So when I was in Florida, I went up to Chicago a lot. I ended up wrestling in Chicago more than I wrestled in Florida, and I was training at freelance whenever I went up to Chicago. And now that I moved back here to DC, I go up to Pennsylvania to train with Sumi Sakai and Cheeseburger at Worldwide Dojo.
Oh wow, yeah. I've had the pleasure meeting Cheeseburger once. He's a really cool dude, and I definitely see. I'm sure I know his build is pretty similar to yours because I know he's a smaller guy and stuff. And what did you learn from him and Sumi Sakai?
Definitely the different styles of professional wrestling. I've only gone this past month since I just moved up here, but learning how every country has a different way of working and how I can work those styles and blend in what I want to do and work with them as well because everybody is so different. Wrestling is it's like a universal language, but it's so different in the same way as well. So just teaching me all those different styles and how to adapt myself to make sure that I'm able to work with them as well.
Right. So in your opinion, obviously, I think the it's like everywhere you go, you learn something different, and it's probably good to always kind of have a well-rounded, training because it kind of teaches you a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and it's not even just the way we work. It's even the lingo, the words, and all that stuff. Everything is different everywhere you go. So
nice. So how did you enjoy your time training with freelance? I mean, I know Matt Nix and stuff. So what was your time with freelance like?
It was awesome. I mean, I was still super green when I was training. I mean, I'm still green now. I'm sorry, but I was way more green than I am now. So it was really eye-opening to see how different people work, even in the same country. Just going to a different region of the country, it's still a little bit different. And I was able to pick brains from Isaiah Velasquez and Jesus Bryce and all of them. So just picking little things up from their minds and try to put that in my game as best as I can. So.
Gotcha. So so let me ask you this. So training, where do you feel like, and again, this isn't like to single necessarily anybody out or anything like that, but where do you feel like you learn the most, like all the different spots you trained at? Where do you feel like you learn the most? It helped you kind of helped you formulate, what you wanted to do in wrestling?
Yeah, that's a hard question because everywhere that I've been to had some sort of integral role into what I am now, But I really think I feel really, really at home with Cheeseburger and Sumi. They were, of course, everywhere that I went was super welcoming, but just them letting me come in for an extra couple hours or, more than multiple days that I've asked originally to come up through, they're always super accommodating. And they've all, instead of me going to them to ask questions, they're coming to me and asking questions of what I want to do and what I think I should want to do next, and then they'll help me off of that from those questions. So they're very proactive rather than reactive.
It's really cool because you don't really hear a lot of that. Like they come to you. A lot of times you hear, all the people training. They go to the trainers and ask questions and stuff. So that's got to be, really good that that they're considerate enough to reach out to you. So how big, like on average, because this is one question I've never really asked anybody else when I've talked about their training stuff, and like on average, how big are when you would train, like how big were your classes? Like how many people were there with you?
Yeah, so when I was in Orlando, I would say there was a good 14 to 20 people, depending on the day, of course. At Sumi's and Cheeseburgers, I went during this time of quarantine, and they have a limit of 8 in their classes. So very small group and very personalized, I feel, for the group.
And now, do you think you benefit? Did you enjoy the smaller class sizes versus the ones that were bigger?
I think everything has its pros and cons. The larger classes were great because I was able to work with different sizes, different people, all those not that kind of aspects. But with the smaller groups, we definitely get more time when it comes to attention to detail and the small fine things, and getting individual attention to what each person is missing something on rather than as a group, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Because everybody that's going to come in, they all come, everybody I feel like comes from different backgrounds, so they're going to have different, input and stuff. And it's kind of one of those things, it's like you may, always getting the different perspectives, because it's always, and this just doesn't apply to pro wrestling, in my opinion, but just in life in general. I mean, just maybe getting the perspective of somebody else that can teach you something, not only about your profession, but also your life. So I think that's always going to be really valuable.
Oh, yeah.
So where have you, where's some of the companies that you've worked for?
Yeah, so I worked for Wrestle League up in Chicago, Berwyn Championship Wrestling, which I feel everybody in Chicago or who's wrestling in Chicago has gone through there at some point in their career, which is awesome.
Yeah, I've been to a few of the shows. I know, I knew, one of the original owners, Frankie Rodriguez, is a really good friend of mine. So
Yeah, cool.
and that's so. And I think I remember seeing you there maybe once or twice. So, but yeah, so Berwyn Championship Wrestling. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Where else have you been?
Of course, Chicagoland a couple, was that last week, 2 weeks ago? I don't know. Time flies, you know?
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah, time flies. So, and I was when I was in Florida, I didn't really get a chance to work much in Florida. I didn't get as much bookings down there as I did in Chicago. But down in Florida, I worked at ACW, American Combat Wrestling, which was a part of WWN Network.
Okay.
And I worked at I think that's really the only Florida show I worked, which is crazy. So after I got released to work wrestle, I did a couple shows in Florida, ACW. I just got adopted in Chicago, I guess.
So you're kind of telling basically what you're telling me is Chicago's kind of almost like your adopted home.
Yeah. That's everybody. I moved back to DC, and everybody's messaging me this why you're in Chicago more often than anywhere else. Should have just moved up here.
Is there a particular reason why you decided to not stay in Chicago?
I have family here in DC, so just being close to family, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big family guy myself, so I totally respect.
Yeah. Nothing beats home cooking.
Yeah, you're right about that. So what are have you ever had the chance to work with any Hall of Famers, legends? Like, did anybody come in for like a guest training session? Have you had any contact with?
Yeah, not matches, nothing yet. Hopefully at some point, you know, I'm super young, but during for seminars and training sessions, I gotta do a bunch of really good ones with Chigusa Nagayo, who was part of WWF, WCW, I believe. And she runs a promotion out of Japan right now called Marvelous. And I also got to train with Billy Gunn and Sean Spears and Tyler Breeze as well.
Awesome. What was it like training with Billy and Sean?
It was awesome. I mean, they really, because I think I was 2 or 3 months in, and they really showed me the difference between, you know, indie wrestling and TV wrestling. It's a huge difference in between the two, how wrestling works for the two worlds, you know. And besides those guys, I also got to train with Bob Roop as well.
Oh yeah, I know he's a legend down in the Florida area.
Yeah.
So when you were learning the differences between, you know, wrestling, you know, on TV versus, you know, wrestling at an indie show, what was like the biggest thing that like the biggest wow factor that you learned when you learned about the two differences?
I think you know, when I was so new, I was always popping for, you know, the crazy. I still love the crazy indie matches, don't get me wrong, but I think what really opened my eyes was, you know, less can be more. And I always thought it's just some old guy saying less is more. Let's just do some crazy things, you know. But looking back, I think after he said less is more, I looked back at all the matches from WWE that I really enjoyed was matches that weren't crazy, you know. So just knowing that less can be more sometimes, and just being more of a storytelling match rather than just doing moves just to do moves, which I've kind of adopted now as well because I'm out of shape and fat. So
yeah, that's kind of one thing. Like I know that's, you know, your traditionalist or old school wrestling fans, you know, why they don't like the stuff of today. And, you know, and I've heard a lot of, you know, stuff today is always referred to as, you know, spot fest and things like that. And I mean, there's, I think, a place for that. But yeah, I'm also, you know, a little bit of an old school fan myself. You know, I love all the high flying flips and dives and all that stuff. But give me a good match. Give me a good match with a great story.
yeah.
And, you know, I'm all for that. Case in point, the Roman Reigns Jey Uso match that was just on, you know, Clash of Champions. I've told some of my friends and stuff. I said that's probably the best piece of storytelling I've seen in at least a WWE match in the last years and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I will take that over, you know, the spot fest any day of the week. But again, I definitely think there's a place for that because there's some really cool stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like, these guys in indies are good at what they do, you know? But again, I sometimes I pop just for a headlock takeover. Sometimes that's all it gets me, you know.
Mhm. So let's kind of get into a little bit more, modern times and stuff. How did you get into contact with John Bullard?
I was on Facebook scrolling, and I've always made it a point to, email message as much as I can, even if I'm being annoying. The worst that somebody could say is no, right? Just
Exactly.
find that one opportunity, and if they say no, it's fine. I'm going to be even more annoying, and I'll email you next week. But I found him on Facebook actually. I think I found the page for Chicagoland first, saying that they're going to run in 2020, and then
Mhm.
I messaged the promotion page, and he messaged me personally after.
Yeah, and what do you what is your opinion of John? Like, what are your feelings towards him?
He's awesome, man. Typically when it comes to promoters, I appreciate, and I'm thankful for everybody that's gave me an opportunity to work. But with John, I really feel it's not like a coworker type deal. I really feel like I'm a part of the family. He's always answered whatever questions I've had. He's helped me whatever what I needed. My car broke down up in Indiana when I was wrestling for the show, and he was quick just to help me get that going again, just so I can get back home and make sure I was fed throughout the week and got whatever I needed. Such an awesome guy. And I think the difference between him is I think every promoter cares for their wrestlers in their
Mhm.
show, but he takes it another step level or another step further, make sure that you feel like family. You can always go to them if you need them.
And and I'm really glad you said that because, I think he's not only like that with his wrestlers because you're not the first person to say, something along those lines about him, but he's also like that about the fans. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, you see him sending letters when they buy
yep.
tickets and stuff.
Well, just
Personal letters.
even like when was outside with my friend Brad, we were waiting for the doors to open, and he come out, he started to, he came over, and shook our hands and stuff because I've been doing my podcast. I've had a lot of his guys on. I know Brad's done some stuff with for helping with the promote a show and stuff like that. And, he made sure to come out to us, to thank us for everything we've done. Like he really made us feel like we were also a part of the family as well too.
Yeah.
It's just I felt like he went out of his way to make sure that we were taken care of. And I mean, yeah, like I said, the way he's been to me, he's definitely got a full-fledged support from me and
Yeah.
and my podcast and stuff.
Awesome.
So now you held the distinction of competing in the very first match of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
How was that something that John approached you about and was like, hey, did you want to do this, or that he told you, or how did that come about?
Yeah, he was putting the card together, the matches together. I don't think he asked me. I think he kind of just told me that I was going to be the first match in the history of the company, and I think he said something along the lines of himself having the confidence that me and Miles are going to be able to have a great match for the first first match of history in the company. So it was kind of just put on us. We didn't know until we got there.
So you mean you didn't know that you were beginning to compete in that first match until the day of the show?
Yeah, it's like the day or the day before. But yeah, I didn't know till like that point in time.
And how did that make you feel when you found out that you were going to be in the very first match?
At first, I wasn't really thinking much of it. I was like, okay, first match, great. I'm not the main event. And then we planned the match, and he comes up to us. He goes, "Yeah, I really believe in you guys. You guys are the first match of the history of the company. You guys are going to leave a mark for the company. Make sure you set off the night on a good tone." And at that point, I started panicking. I was like, "Oh, wait, the first match of the company's history, not just first match of the night." So me and my opponent Miles, like, oh, okay, this is a lot of pressure. I felt like this is more pressure than being in the main event because this is the first thing that you're gonna see. This is the first impression you have of this company. So let's not screw this up.
Well, coming from someone who sat ringside, I thought you guys did a great job kicking it off. and I know the show's going to be available soon on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, yes, sir.
And that's so. How excited are you to go and actually watch the match once the show is available on Amazon Prime?
I'm really excited, and it's not even just the wrestling that I'm excited for to watch back on the show. It's just I think everyone, even the fans, had a big part in making that night something special, something to remember for the first show of the company. It was just I've wrestled in quite a few matches. For the time that I've been working, I've only been working since August last year, but I've had 60 matches already.
Okay.
This is one of the nights where I think was, really magical compared to the other shows that I've been on. Everybody was just crazy the whole night.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, I could definitely tell everybody had they seemed like everybody enjoyed, performing, playing their roles up and stuff. I can definitely tell, again, from a fan's perspective, I was thoroughly entertained throughout the whole show. And being an old school guy, I really loved the presentation John had.
Yeah, it was cool, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was very reminiscent of the old NWA studio show, and I think
Right.
I told my friend Brad that, and I think I even mentioned that to John and stuff. So I'm actually anxious to see the product, from a television perspective.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Yes, because obviously one of the things is wrestling is totally different when you watch it live versus when you watch it on
TV, yeah.
stuff. And so I'm anxious to see, having been there, like going back and watching the show, to hear the commentary, and just to see just the overall presentation.
Right.
So do you follow any of the current product from any of the organizations, WWE, AEW, Impact, NXT?
I don't, to be honest, I really don't. I know it sounds bad, but
No.
I don't want to say I don't have the time to watch wrestling. I do, but at this point in my life right now, I'm either just playing video games, but that's neither here or there. I'm playing video games or I'm just training jiu-jitsu or doing pro wrestling or something like that. I'm rarely ever home to watch pro wrestling because I'm either on the road training or just sleeping because I'm so sore and tired. But I will catch up on matches on YouTube once they come out, or I'll talk to the wrestlers I know down in Florida because we're in a group chat on Instagram, and they'll talk about the matches, and I'll kind of just catch up from there.
So is there anything that you've watched recently that really impressed you?
Geez, it's been so long since I've watched any kind of wrestling, I think really any match that Jonathan Gresham is in, because I did get a chance to watch a little bit of the Pure tournament from Ring of Honor,
Yes.
and watching Jonathan Gresham was awesome. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so since you mentioned video games, I don't play as much as I used to. When my son was born and stuff, it just that kind of when I'm home, I like to, I'll still like to play a game every once in a while, but I'd like to spend as much time with him as possible. And
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
So what gaming wise, what do you what kind of games do you play?
Yeah, well nowadays I have my own computer that I've built. I'll actually show you right here. I built this guy.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think I saw the picture of it you posted on your Facebook page like a couple days ago, right? Like right after I reached out to you, and I wouldn't have the foggiest idea how to do something like that, but I
yeah.
things, and it's a lot of those things. Sometimes it's just not. It's such a work of art. I think the way some people do with those. So.
Oh yeah, some people have crazy computers. I'm not there yet. I just built this in a couple of hours. I built my girlfriend one, but yeah, I built this guy here and I play Tekken on him. I'm a big fighting game nerd, and that's really all I play nowadays. And I also play this game called Dead by Daylight. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
It sounds familiar, and stuff. I like I said, my gaming experiences is really limited. I'm basically I have an Xbox One that I use for my entertainment center, and then I have a Switch, and then basically all I play in there are basically Mario games. So
Hey, Mario games are great. Just don't watch the Super Mario movie if you ever seen that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I actually have the movie on DVD, and it's just because it's what. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a very disappointing movie, but it's what I like to call a guilty pleasure. So
Yeah.
And
We'll
that's,
watch it in secret.
yeah, because again, I grew up, Mario's what got me into video games, and I grew up on it and stuff. And I mean, like I said, yeah, so through the good and the bad, I stick with it, and that's
Yeah. That's a true relationship.
yeah. So you mentioned Tekken. I mean, are you big are you big into like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat?
I'm not. I used to play a lot of Mortal Kombat. And then when I went to CEO, where I watched New Japan, I really got a chance to watch Tekken. I got really heavy into Tekken again, and actually do tournaments for Tekken as well.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. I'm more into Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter than I am into Tekken and stuff. But I mean, I've played Tekken. One of my best friend actually is used to always whoop me pretty good in Tekken and stuff.
Right.
That, so
Yeah.
but yeah. So who's your favorite guy in Tekken?
I play a guy named Paul, All American Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Phoenix, I think was his name.
Yeah, Paul Phoenix. Yeah. He everybody loves to play him, but nobody likes to play against him. I think he's the strongest character in the game. Why not? I'll take the heat.
Nice. So in your time, you said you used to play Mortal Kombat. Who was your guy in Mortal Kombat?
In Mortal Kombat 10, I played Aaron Black, and from previous to that, I've always played Sub-Zero or Cyrax.
Well, nice, yeah. I was my two guys in Mortal Kombat was number 1 was Sub-Zero. Actually, number 2, I was a huge Baraka fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know what it was. It's just his look, and then the blades for the arms and stuff. He was always like my number 2 guy when it came to Mortal Kombat and stuff. What about Street Fighter? Who's your guy in Street Fighter?
I've always played Ryu. Super basic. Always got to play Ryu.
Yeah, I'm my guy's Ken. So.
Oh yeah. Hey, enemies here.
And that's so. So what else do you play? I mean, do you play Call of Duty, anything like that?
Yeah, I play Call of Duty from time to time. I'm really my reaction time for shooters are terrible, so I only play for fun.
Mine too.
Yeah, I'll stick to my fighting games, and I'll watch my friends play the shooting games, and I'll cheer them off on the side. But I was also always a big GTA fan as well. It was I think the very first game, because I've played on Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 and stuff, but the very first game that I clearly remember getting from Funkoland, if you remember that store, was
my God, Funkoland, yeah. I remember that. I know they eventually morphed into
GameStop or EB Games.
Funkoland. I remember,
I remember I got a PS2 that day, and I was so young. I don't know why. I don't know what my parents were thinking. My parents are Cambodian immigrants. I don't think they had the slightest clue what video games were,
Mm-hmm.
So they bought me a PS2 and they bought me a GTA Vice City when I was 6 years old.
Yeah, they definitely didn't know, because if anybody that knows anything about Grand Theft Auto is that you
not good for a 6-year-old. Yeah,
definitely not.
So it was good times. Good times.
Mm-hmm. So what was it about? What did you like about the Grand Theft Auto games?
Yeah, at 6 years old, just stealing cars and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just steal cars, drive around and run over people,
Yeah.
Just the fondest memories, and now I still do that to this day in video games.
Nice. So do you do any retro gaming? Like do you dabble in like the classics like Nintendo, Sega Genesis?
I don't have that many more, but I did have a Dreamcast and a Nintendo 64 somewhere in the house that I need to find.
Yeah, my opinion, I think Dreamcast is the most underrated system ever.
Oh my gosh, Dreamcast is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I remember getting that, and it's just, and it had just so many cool games. I mean, you had like your Power Stones, you had the Sonic Adventure game.
Oh yeah.
They had the Marvel versus Capcom arcade, which was like, for back then was really good.
Yep.
Then you had the introduction of like, the NFL 2K series, NBA.
Oh yeah, I think 2K NFL games are a lot better than the Madden games.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I haven't played a Madden game in a while, but and stuff. But yeah, no, I definitely would play Madden, because for the the longest time it's the only
it's the only football game that's out
there and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, no, back in the day, I was an NFL 2K guy.
Yeah, same here. Glad we're on the same boat. There's not many of us.
No, because I remember back in, I think it was like 2004, 2005 when they put out ESPN, like had the branding and everything. It was like NFL 2K5. But
yeah, and then you were able to play first person in the helmet too. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but see, the thing was for me for that was the price point. I mean, that game as good as it was only $20.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, and I remember, and like you had the post game show with like, actually Chris Berman, and
Yep.
it really felt like just
It
like
felt like I felt like I was there. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it was good.
And that so, but yeah, so one place I'm going to recommend for you. I know obviously you say you lived in Washington and stuff, but if you ever next time you ever come back to Chicago, have you heard of Galloping Ghost Arcade?
I have not. No.
Okay, so it's in Brookfield, Illinois,
Uh-huh.
right on Ogden Avenue. It's $20 to get in. They also have like a building down the street where they have a bunch of pinball machines. I think you can do a combo pass like for $30 for the day, and they literally
for
have
a day.
yeah for the all day. Everything's set to free play, but they have, I believe it's I can't remember what their last count was, but they're getting upwards of close to about 800 arcade games in there.
Really?
Yeah, and it's literally, I kid you not, my friend, everything, any game that you could ever think of, maybe you've only seen once at some, local gas station that you
Right.
went to when
It's
you
there.
went back, that this place probably has it. So next time you're ever in Chicago, dude, get a hold of me and we
Yeah,
can.
you're coming with me. You're coming with me.
Like, you're not gonna have to drag me kicking and screaming and stuff. But I kid you not, man. This place is the ultimate, like, just for anybody that's into video games and stuff. Like, you owe it to yourself to go to this place. So definitely,
For sure.
when you're in town, man, we're
Yeah. Yeah, we'll link up and we'll head over there, man. Get some games going.
awesome. So last question I got for you before we go
Mhm.
is what do you feel like the future holds for Yoya?
Honestly, it's hard to say. I'm really just taking everything one step at a time. I had opportunities that were supposed to be here, but they kind of left, due to some unfortunate circumstances. But I think the world of wrestling will see a lot more of me, and just taking things one day at a time and trying to leave my mark by the time I'm done. I'm only 23, but when I wake up, I feel like I'm 40. So let's see how long I can last.
Well, trust me, I'm actually 40 years old myself, and yeah, it's being 40 and feeling 40 compared to a 23-year-old. It's not good. So, so how can people reach you on social media, and is there any place people can go to buy merchandise?
Yeah, so for social media, I'm on Instagram at Yoya the Grappler, YOYA the Grappler. I'm on Twitter at the Only Yoya. It's only one Y, so the Only Y. And then
So ONLYOYA.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then I'm on Twitch as well. I stream Tekken and Dead by Daylight and just chatting. And on there, I am Yoya on Twitch. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have made everything one name, but apparently that didn't happen. So good luck. I can't even remember my own usernames. On merch, I don't have anything yet. I'm getting stuff made right now, but I'll be on Pro Wrestling Tees, I believe, once that's all up and said.
Beautiful.
But I'll announce it.
Yes, please announce it. I'll share it and stuff. I'm actually a very frequent customer of that store.
Mhm.
I, in fact, pretty much I should say probably 99% of my wardrobe are shirts that I got from Pro
From
Wrestling.
PWTs, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely once your stuff's up, I will definitely buy a shirt of yours.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And that, so, alrighty then. Well, hey, man, Yoya, thank you so much for joining me. I had fun. This first time I've done a podcast where I actually got into video game chat, which was great and stuff.
Yeah, it's always good, right?
Yeah. So I also, actually, one more thing.
Yeah.
You have any shows coming up?
Yes, I have one this Saturday. I'm actually tagging with my girlfriend at American Lucha Wars in North Carolina.
Gotcha. So, okay. So, and then are you, I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but you are a part of the next CCW show on the 17th of April, correct?
Yes, and my girlfriend and I, Janai, are tagging again as well.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, I look forward to seeing you again at the show, and hopefully get a chance to meet your girlfriend and stuff.
For sure.
And I will definitely, if you would like, I'm gonna hopefully be doing another post game show like I did at the last one.
All yours.
Yeah, I'd definitely love to have you guys on, for a quick interview after the show, if that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime.
Awesome. All right, Yoya. Well, hey man, I'm gonna let you get going and stuff. Have a great night. Thanks for doing this, and best of luck to you in the future, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Yoya, for chatting with me this evening. I hope you had as much fun talking to me as I did with you, and to all of my listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed it just as much. Yes, I will be hitting up Galloping Ghost with Yoya because he needs to see this place for himself. And if you've never heard of it, Galloping Ghost Arcade, do yourself a favor, check them out on Facebook or look them up online, because I kid you not when I say that this place has everything, any game that you've ever played even just one time in your life. And that's so you pay $20 to play all day. I believe it's $30 for a combo where you can go down the street and check out all their pinball machines. I know they've got a few restrictions with everything going on with COVID and stuff, but don't let it stop you from reliving your childhood. Also, Yoya will be appearing at the next set of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling tapings on April 17th, 2020 in Michigan City, Indiana. For those of you watching on YouTube, you should be seeing the information coming across the screen right now. And for those of you who are listening to this on any major podcasting platforms such as Apple, Spotify, Google, Anchor, the information will be in the episode description. Well, that's all I got for this week. One more thing. Big announcement for What Do You Say with DDJ. This podcast is officially becoming part of the Pro Wrestling Junkies podcast network. There's a lot of great things in the works. I will be doing this show in addition to doing another podcast called The Junkyard with my friends Spencer and Jovan. And I know we've got a couple other shows joining us as well, too. So I want to take a moment to thank Jacob for giving me this opportunity to be part of something, that's going to be new. And hopefully we'll be doing some big things down the line. All right, that's all I got for this week. Tune in next week for another episode of What Do You Say with DDJ. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.